Hey, what's up? It's Genesis and I hope you're doing well. In this video, I'll be breaking down my newest track, Don't Let Go, in my Aftermath EP released through Neoluminum. Much love to the Neoluminum crew for this opportunity. If you haven't checked it out yet, I'll provide links down here and up here. If you don't want to hear about the lore and want to get straight to the breakdown of the song, skip to the timestamp shown on the screen right now. So this entire EP was made about 2 years ago, and the songs were gathering digital dust in my drives. Out of all the songs in the EP, this is the first one that was made. I was in a student house at the time, living with an ex-friend and 3 other strangers, each for their own rooms, for about 4 months at that point. I wasn't feeling the greatest, and COVID was still around and affecting my classes very heavily, and although I had my own room, I felt like I had no privacy. The ex-friend I used to live with kept on intruding into my space, coercing me to do daily activities with him, like cooking or watching movies with him, even though I don't really want to do that, or playing games with him, again, even though I don't really want to do that, judging the way I do things, like how I cook my rice. As an Asian person, hello? Being a know-it-all, taking time away from myself and my work, especially when my brother came along to visit, and I was doing music with him, and he still insisted in intruding and disrupting our workflow. And the only time I had privacy was very late at night. So at 5 AM in the morning, I was playing around with my keyboard, depressed and bored out of my mind, taking my time and playing a slow tempo with light fingers. Eventually, I caught wind of a harmonic idea, and I got straight into the zone. 2 hours pass, and I finished the tune with the sun peering through the curtains. Alright, enough of the sob story. Let's get started with the drums. So, for these drums right here, these are what the drums sound like by themselves. The drums consist of just a kick, the main clap, a percussion from my G-Bombs kit, which you can get on my website, link down there and up here. There's an auxiliary clap as well. I have an open hi-hat which fades in and is low passed at about 4K, and the main hat, which is 2 hats combined, and there is a bit of signal delay on one of the layers, so you get this little swish before the main hit. All the drums are being run through a saturator for some warmth, an erosion for a bit of that low-res sample sound, and there's also a high cut, a very harsh high cut, just under 10K, just to make it sound even more dirty. I remember when I laid down the drums, I was recording the MIDI notes on my keyboard. I think it was my computer keyboard at the time as well, and I quantized the kick, main clap, and hi-hats, but everything else. So the aux hat and the percussion sound were not quantized, so they have this off-kilter contrast. Pretty cool. And I think the drums stay the same after the first drop. Let me check. Yeah, they're exactly the same. Okay, moving on to the harmonic layers. As I said in the sob story earlier, I started off with this electric piano idea. You can see it's not quantized, so I pretty much left all the notes exactly the same as they were when I first recorded them. And I am using an old school Rhodes patch here from Ableton, with an erosion again to get that low resolution sampling sound. I don't know if this is an intense bandpass, but it's some sort of a bandpass. And I'm using it also as a volume boost here. A bit of chorus for some width. And my washout rack, which you can also get for free, link down there and up there. Instead of using it as like a washout transitional thing, which is what this was mainly designed for, I'm using it as a general wishy-wash with the long reverb here. Next layer is this acoustic piano, which contrasts against the electric piano. Also in quantize, left the same as it was when I recorded it. I'm using Keyzone as the main piano on the Steinway piano sample. I've turned on the velocity as well, mainly because the sample bank of this piano has a really harsh sound at high velocities, and my MIDI keyboard that I was using at the time wasn't really great in terms of velocity, so I used this MIDI effect here to control the velocity and to also therefore change the timbre of the piano. I need to take a piss everywhere. Oh my god. I also use the washout rack on this piano as well as a main wishy-washy thing, but also using the filters, the low cut and high cut filters as transitional effects. I mean, apparently was, but I guess I removed it, so I guess these don't actually do anything. Okay, moving on, we have this little synth string made using the Terrell N6 synth. I'm using the Juno Strings preset patch, and I don't think I changed anything, it's just as is. Adding a chorus for some width, and a washout rack again as a wishy-washy thing, and I'm using the high cut and low cuts to essentially create a bandpass filter. With that it sounds like this. Pretty sharp. But it's nice for some other genres, but for this case I wanted it to be pretty far back in the mix and also again encapsulating that overall low fidelity sound. Now for this vocal, it's actually me singing, even though it was 5 AM or like 6 AM when I sang this vocal. No one gives a fuck, to put it lightly, even though the walls were very thin. Like for example, when I'm lying in my bed trying to sleep, I can hear my ex-friend playing like Overwatch at like 3 or 4 in the morning. He frankly didn't give a shit, so why would I? But yeah, this vocal is auto-tuned heavily, and the formants are pushed down a bit, so it sounds like a pitch down sample. Hold me close, don't let me go. When in reality, hold me close, don't let me go. Oh my god, I was so bad at singing back then. It's fine. Auto-tune, compressor to tame the dynamics. Hold me close, don't let me go. And washout rack again, mainly as wishy-wash, a bit of delay, and bandpass filtering. So we get that nice atmosphere. And this entire group is... Oh, I just realized it's not being sidechained. I think they're individually sidechained. Oh no, this one isn't. Oh well, I guess this one is sidechained, the main electric piano. And the way this sidechain works is in this drum channel, I have the drum samples linked with a sidechain trigger, and I have a video on how this works. Again, link down there and up there, and you can also get this rack for free, which will be in the description of the video I just linked. Let's move on to the main synths, which you're probably all waiting for. I think this track was also made like maybe 6 weeks into learning Serum, because I'm not really much of a Serum guy myself, but I thought it would be a good idea to try and learn Serum for the next few weeks after getting it. So this first synth sounds like this. Pretty much what it is, this is what the main synth sounds like without any effects. Essentially what I have is this LFO is controlling FM from B and the overall level, and the phaser filter. LFO2 is pretty much a linear ramp and is controlling pulse width of oscillator B. and other things. EQ modulation here. I have it turned off right now. It's going through distortion. Which, not gonna lie, is not really doing much. I guess you don't need that. Okay. EQ. It's doing a bit of movement. I'm guessing like most of this was done with a different timbre, and then I changed the wavetables in order to get this kind of sound, because this doesn't really make sense to me. But it is what it is. Compressor. It's doing a bit. It's crushing that sub, even though I'm cutting that sub later on, which again makes no sense. I got a signal delay to delay the signal by 40 milliseconds. You don't really hear it when it's soloed, but when it's paired with the drums, you really do hear the difference. It adds to that nice wonk factor. Okay, we've got an OTT being very slight. I have a cassette tape emulation here, which is doing a lot of the coloring. I have an EQ. This is pretty much taming the side information, so everything that's in mono in the middle is okay, but the sides are being filtered and EQ'd out. And then I have an overall EQ after that. Boosting up a bit of that highs for the texture. I also have this frequency shifter that gets turned on halfway for a change in tone, and I'm getting rid of that extra low end that this frequency shifter adds by putting a low cut filter after it again, and a compressor to tame the dynamics. Next one is another serum patch. It's this guy. This is actually a duplication of the previous patch. As you can see, like, the processing chain is exactly the same, except that we've got one erosion turned on, and the only thing that changes is the serum patch behind it. As you can see, the first LFO is a little bit tighter, second LFO is the exact same. Everything else is the same, I think, as well. And the main difference is that erosion over here. And because I'm not really changing much, it means that these two layers interplay with each other pretty well, because they come from the exact same source, but with a different post-effects parameter, and that's why they glue so well together. And for a tonal variation of this synth over here, I play it at different registers. Like down here I'm playing a B, while the main key of the song is in G. Even though the song is in G minor, B is the major third, but it doesn't really matter, because what I'm going after is the texture, really. You don't really hear the B in that note anyways. Moving on to the sub, I use the wavetable. And I love using wavetable for subs, mainly because of the way it handles monophonic voices. And yeah, it's pretty much a very simple, almost sine wave as the main oscillator, and again the same sine wave but skewed slightly to the left. The second oscillator pretty much adds that extra beef. So that's what that's doing there. I've got a filter to tame the high end, because there's quite a bit of high end when you start to introduce some other waveform types like triangles to saws to squares. So without the filter, it's just a bit of high end. It's more audible here, and I didn't want that. I want to, of course, encapsulate that warm, low fidelity sound. So, you know, popping on that filter. I've got a saturator on top as well, just to give it some more harmonics and some beef, and an 80 millisecond signal delay. And of course I've got sidechain being routed from the kick drum only this time, and only the high end of the kick drum, because that's where the transient is of the kick, and that gets a cleaner sidechain signal. After that, I have some reverses for effects, and a lot of washout, and just some general tape noise, and vinyl crackle. And that's pretty much the song. It's a very simple one, which is probably why I managed to finish it in like 2 hours. You can get the stems for this project for free, link down there and up here. I'll also be making breakdown videos of the other songs in the EP soon, and you can also get the stems to those on my Patreon. Again, link down there and up here. And that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Stay creative.